Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over all of the questions you have put in this community post I put out 4 days ago. And as I said, the deadline was 10/16 or October 16th. So we're going to go ahead and start from top to bottom. And yeah, that's not much I have to say for the intro. So starting with comment by J&J Entertainment, aka one of my friends, one of the first people that, very quick fun fact, Jacob, well, his real name, but J&J Entertainment was one of the first people, I think the first person I talked to on Discord alone, so that's a pretty cool fact, I'd say. But anyways, he asks, what is happening to the Jamestown Eric? Now, I don't remember, let me actually check real fast. No, I don't want to promote. Uh, Let me check the description. So, I I don't know if he just didn't read the description or anything, but um, this in the description I put here. This is where the Eric Charm was put after it was removed, and the plans is that the fire department wants to keep this and put it out in front of the fire department as a display piece, and of course the location of the siren. But um, if you or God, fuck, what am I talking about? I just got home from school and my brain's in many different places. I excuse that. What I'm trying to say is, um, if you want a more in-depth answer to this question, is this siren used to be up near the Frontier Village um, in Jamestown. In 2012 Street View, if you go kind of to the point where it turns right, you can see the Eric on its old pole, which even I remember it being there way back in like 2019, 2020 before it was taken down. Um, it was there, I think, until around 2020, and then they took it down because they wanted to move it to the new fire station. Is at least what um, the head of, or like the chief of the fire department told me. Or Tim Ruther, I think his name is, or just Ruther. You can just call him Ruther. But he told me this story and that they just wanted it to be at the main station in the cold storage building, which is where the siren is sitting, just kind of sitting in the corner in this state. That it does have the top housing too. You can kind of see it in the end of the video here. Top housing is there. And that top housing, it's probably you probably can't tell very well in the video, but that is huge. Like that thing's massive compared to my hand. Like see that? It's very big. So what they want to do is repaint it because this original red paint is just falling apart. As you can see, it's just flaking off. But they want to repaint it and then put it back out in front with the housing on it so people can't spin it up and cut their fingers off. And even in this video, I'll unmute it a little bit. I almost got my hand caught in the rotor, but and I'm also not really sure why these Erics had arrows pointing to the right, or well, left if it's over here, but to the right here, to indicate the road goes that direction. I don't know if that's because it's to show which direction the motor spins, or if way back when these things were made in like the 10s, 20s. I don't know. I haven't looked at it a long time, but I don't know if they knew the idea of directional rotors or bidirectional where that doesn't matter which way they spin. It's probably my second observation or theory, but that's my guess is that they just didn't know the idea of bidirectional rotors, and they thought that it mattered which direction you spun it. But yeah, this thing's also not that big in person too. I don't remember how much it was when I measured it, but it's pretty short for a siren. Of course, with the when the housing on it's bigger, but it's interesting because it seems like it'd be a very big siren, but it's really not for what it is. But you know, that's really an in-depth answer to the Eric question. Um, but yeah, really the plans they just want to keep it, repaint it, and put it out in front on a concrete slab or something. Um, they've had it for 5 years at this point, and they just haven't had time to get to it because fire departments are busy and all that. So they said sometime within the next couple of years they want to get it done, but I don't even know. It's been there for 5 years, so it's really unknown how long it's gonna be there until they actually make a move with it. I did want to ask them if I could take it off their hands, but I didn't want to act like I want to steal their siren or anything. But if they don't do anything with it for the next couple of years, I'll probably try asking them if I can get this siren. But that's really an in-depth answer to that question. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And then he asks, what is my favorite siren recording? And the reason I have 3 of these tabbed is because I have a top 3 siren recordings. So my top 1, in my personal opinion, my favorite is, of course, the main shot of the P50 right here. I'll just play it I'll just play it for a little bit until it gets going. But shoot, there we go. But this was my most favorite because of not only P50, first P50 ever at SirenCon, but also my first SirenCon. But or just I just like the shot. I like the audio from the HX90. The audio caught it pretty nicely, and it's buffering. YouTube. Yeah, I also like the sound of the ramp up. It just sounds cinematic to me. If you get what I mean. It just has a nice sound to it. Or maybe it's just the way my HX90 caught the audio. It's just me though, but I thought it sounds really nice. Because the audio on this doesn't really max out until it gets to peak pitch, though, so it's, yeah. Yeah, right there is where it maxes out the worst. But even then, even though when they were still ramping it up at about 50 seconds in, it didn't really max out that badly. I mean, I don't even think it did max out. It's just it got louder, so it kind of acted like it wanted to max out. But then again, I had wind noise reduction on because it was a little bit windy, and because I didn't know if I would need it, so it would like prevent it from maxing out. But I did have the microphone setting to low too, so it would prevent maxing out. But even then, right here, it doesn't sound like it's maxing out that bad too. Also, buffering. YouTube's being really slow today. But yeah, that kind of just puts in perspective, like. I mean, then again, it was loud regardless, but even my camera held up the audio really nicely too, especially when it popped, especially about 4 minutes in. You can even see, just going to go off topic again for just a quick minute, but you can even see from a 60-ish, 50-pound rotor going from around 3,000-ish RPM, maybe closer to 2,000 because it was waving and pitch. But that's a 60, 50-pound rotor going from like 50-ish rotations a minute, or 50 rotations a second, sorry, to 0 in like a tenth of a second. So you can see how violently it shook the trailer and the siren itself even. And the smoke and the whatever came out of the horn. You can even hear us in the back just screaming and like freaking the fuck out, because even me myself, I was like, what just happened? Because my initial thought was I didn't even know the backstory on this P50. I did not know that it ingested a piece of fiberglass, making the rotor weaker. Because even though the wind-up sounded fine, but, I'm just glad it lasted as long as it did. It's just the attack that really screwed it up, which, in my personal opinion, they should have done the alert and then done a reverse wired alert. That's my personal opinion of what they should have done, kind of like with the Cyclone. But with the Cyclone, they didn't have the risk of, the rotor exploding. But I personally think they should have just done a normal alert for, the 2 rotations, and then a reverse wired alert for maybe 1 rotation. But, it probably would have exploded on the reverse wired alert anyway, because it was pretty weakened at that stage. But, that's just my take on it. Of course, people have different opinions and views on it, but that's just my personal opinion. on it. So that's really my number one siren recording that I think is the best. Number two is, of course, my Foreman video. Surprise, surprise. I didn't put it number one because not only was my camera kind of tilted off to the right a tiny bit, but well, it was my first video with my HX400, and I didn't know how the audio and video would have looked. And it's especially because I was starting to freak out pretty badly because I was still in. I mean, I cut most of it out of the video because this was like a 10-minute long video alone, but about a minute or so before it went off, I was trying to. My tripod accidentally tilted down a tiny bit, so I was spending that couple minutes just trying to get it to stay up, and the stabilizer was doing the weird thing where it was doing the drift, and it was really annoying. So I was stressing out. I was like, oh no, what if it goes off while I'm trying to fix my tripod? And then I finally got it into a doable shot right here. And then, of course, that one lady is asking what I was doing. Especially in BTS, you can hear, "Oh, are you surveying for something?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm you're here to record the siren going off at noon." And then she's like, "Oh, you're videoing." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to ruin it." And I was like, "Oh, that's fine," because I'm just glad it didn't go off while we were talking. That's just one thing I'm glad about. But yeah,
You're gonna hear the siren go off.
right here you can hear us talking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's alright.
And of course,
You're alright.
as in that one video, you can hear it, and it sounds bad. You can hear the scraping over the siren. That's how bad it is, physically. And then the wind down. And you know it's bad when it's got a 15-second wind down and a sound like that. You can even see a bit of flaking paint flying out of the stator right here too. I don't know if anyone's noticed that, but you can kind of see that. And then you can even hear me at the end be like, "Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all."
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
And then the slow zoom.
At least it went off.
Yeah, I was just glad it went off. I didn't want it to P50 itself. I wanted it to at least survive a 10-second blast for the last time. Because, yeah, this was shut off after this was taken. So this was its official last sound off. Because what they want to do is take it down and either like preserve it or what the dude, Donovan Hadrick, the town superintendent, he told me that they also wanted to try putting it on a VFD so it'd have a slower windup, but at that point it's just redundant because you really can't fix a rotor that's scraping like that because I'm fairly certain it's because of that excessive torque on the 90-ish year old rotor casting of aluminum. It's just expanded outward slightly, causing it to rub. But then again, it could have been like the bearings starting to get rounded out a little bit and causing it to be off balance. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure they kept the original bearings in there, which was not a very good idea. Which is why it only had a 1-minute wind down or so. 2-minute wind down-ish when I recorded it back in May of last year. When it was first, put back up. But, that's my hot take on second most favorite recording of Foreman. Well, second most favorite recording on my channel, that is. Then again, the shot for it and everything was fairly decent too. They say got a nice 50 times zoom. I mean, this wasn't full zoom, but it was pretty close. So yeah, that's second most favorite recording. I'm done with me rambling on about it, and this is my third. Now, I wasn't very sure if this was my third favorite. It was kind of just a quick take, because I mean the audio in this Eclipse 8 recording is fairly decent, and I mean the video's not great, as you can kind of see just with it's just something with my Sony CX405. It's just, especially with the gleam from the sun, it gives it an ugly color, and it's just kind of colorless. Like, especially compared to my Foreman video, my HX400V has a lot more saturation and a lot more color to it. And this one, it just kind of makes it look lifeless, in my opinion. But, it's doable. It's just not great quality. And quick little side note, you can even see the original bolt patterns from when my STH was up there, which is pretty cool. So they didn't cut the pole. They just kind of unbolted it, took it down, put the Eclipse 8 up there. Had a very jank setup with the weatherhead and all that. So I mean, it works. If it works, it works. But it's just kind of a why couldn't you just take the conduit into the motor itself or the conduit box if it even has one? So yeah, but this is how it sounds. Yeah, it kind of sounds like that for the next 3 minutes. I was kind of surprised that it was doing attack because especially when I recorded the Darley STH10 in Sanborn, I thought it was just going to do a 3-minute alert like that one, but this one actually did attack, and I was like, wow. And also, I know people say that Eclipses are so loud and stuff, and that they're possibly even louder than T121s. I'll be completely honest, even though I was wearing hearing protection, and I did take them off while I was going off, away from it and below it, excuse the car going by the camera, but I'll be honest, Eclipses are not as loud as people say they are. I'm just saying that right now. They are not that loud. Especially with having my hearing protection off when I was below it, they're not as punchy as people say they are. Especially because I believe the rotor actually spins a different direction than T121s. I believe they spin the opposite direction. I could be wrong, but that's just what I think. I personally think T121s are louder because of not only of their bigger exponential horn, but also the fact that it doesn't, well, I don't know if it helps or not, but it doesn't have fuck, what am I talking about? The fact that it doesn't have a intake cone, or intake itself, so the sound goes more outward instead of just focused right on the pole, because, intake sound and all that, but, yeah, it's not my best recording, I'll say that again, but it's just a hot take I took. I did also have a BTS I took on my phone for this, but I kept it private because, of course, if you saw when I zoomed out, this fire truck dude, or well, the volunteer firefighter didn't want to be a part of the video. He wanted to be exiled from it, so I blurred his car, and I didn't want to blur out the whole thing because he was a part of most of the BTS, so I didn't have him really in it. So that's why I never put the BTS public, because he just didn't want to be on the recording. So yeah, I know I rambled on way too long about that. It's probably getting boring, but let's just move on without rambling on about this much longer. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. STH10 update. This was probably expected. Yeah, I did expect that. But update, not much. Of course, you probably expected that yourself. Not much has been done, but the CTC Center wants to, pretty soon here, they want to get that primer off, like sand it off, whatever. Put the new primer on, and then paint it. But what I'm mainly waiting for are those parts back, so I can see exactly what color they used, and then buy a closer color spray paint to that, so I don't have to have the risk of getting the wrong color so it looks weird, like the horns look different from the legs and all that. I don't really want that. That's going to look ugly. But there is a little bit more progress, but not much. I don't see it being done till next year, unfortunately, but that's really that. Do you have any other interest participate in other communities other than the Siren and Fang communities that you're comfortable sharing? Technically, yes. If you could, if you do consider it, I did want to get into cameras, which I still kind of am. I also am kind of into phones. I don't collect I can't even speak today. I don't have very many phones in terms of like a hobby, but I do have a lot of cameras. Like if I had to list them off the top of my head and looking at my dresser right now, as far as I can remember. I have an HX400, a HX9V, a Canon Rebel T2i, a Sony HDR CX405, and I do have a Sony Cybershot DSC W350, which is my parents' old camera. It's in my closet. Um, I think that's all my cameras. So, uh, that's technically really my answer to that. I did want to get into cameras, but I'm not really in the talk. I don't really talk about the community that much. Like, if you get what I mean, really, it's hard to explain. But I'm into cameras. I just don't participate in like the community for it. So, yeah. What do you expect to happen with the Foreman siren? I do know the answer to that. If, like when I was talking about my favorite siren recording, I went on about the Foreman, what they want to do with it, and all that. So that's really the answer to that. Like I said, they want to either take it down to preserve it or put it on a VFD so it has a slower windup. But I even told the guy, the town superintendent, that my personal recommendation is to take it down and preserve it, and even he agreed because since it's a one of a kind siren. So that's that. How is it that you find all this time to drive all over the state and sometimes to other states so much? It's a mixed answer on that. Most of the time when I go to different towns to, let's say, record a siren test, especially during the summer. The summer I don't have anything going on, so I pretty much can go to any siren if I need. Like the Darley STH, I had nothing. The Eclipse 8, T128. And all that. So, but if you see a video from like August through May ish, it's either that I have time off school or we don't have school those days, like say a weekend. Weekends I don't have anything going on, so I can just drive to a siren like I did with Marion. It was just a weekend, recorded the siren because I don't have anything going on. So other states is really when we travel to like Detroit Lakes, for example, when we recorded Vergas. Um, that was because we went there for a vacation before school started. So Vergas was a very close town, about 15-ish miles away. And we read and found out the siren goes off 4 times a day, supposedly 5 times a day. So I was like, that's perfect. That's good to go. That's perfect. So that's kind of the answer to that. Is it or is it hard maintaining a school life balance when this is my hobby? Kind of. Right now, I'm mainly focused on school. Well, trying to be focused on school. That is. And I, I'm good at. I can't fucking speak. Damn it. I handle it very well with like this multitasking and all that. But it's not too difficult for me at least, because I mainly keep the siren stuff to either after school or during the weekend when I want to record a siren, like I've said. But during school hours and all that, if I have like schoolwork, I'll do that. So I don't do siren stuff every day. I sometimes just leave them there and do my work. Like even my 3 mini sirens right there. Well, you can't see them of course, in the video. I don't have my webcam on, but all 3 of my sirens are just kind of sitting on a little shelf right now, just chilling. So, do you ever get bored of always having the same mini sirens? Rarely, but sometimes I wish I had more. But I don't know if I've told y'all this yet. Probably not. But next year at SirenCon, I'm pretty sure most people know them by now. NASCAR Sim Racing 1 or Jared. But he's printing or making me a mini version of my STH when it was up on the pole. So it's just going to be gray. And then that one bent horn that's pretty iconic. That one little bent horn in the original image. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it has one singular bent horn. So yeah, it's going to be basically almost like a 1-to-1 but mini. So yeah, that's really the closest answer I can get to that. So I don't really get bored of them, really. But if I ever get bored of having the same siren, I'll just do experiments with them. Like I did the 8.6 port Cyclone. That I just kind of did that because I was bored. So Yeah. Petition to put Foreman in a museum. Yes, very much so. I agree with that very much. Needs to be put in a museum. Too rare of a siren to be going off 3 times a day. You should give me a siren. No. Can you make another siren commit make another siren commit a siren combi 50? It's a plus and a minus with that. Plus is, of course, I get a video and it possibly goes viral, you know. But the thing that's the downside of that is the residue the stator leaves on the rotor, especially with my Cyclone like that. Um, with the old Cyclone core, with that original video of the Creation V2 committing Siren Comp 50 video made back in July. The video for it was fine, but it was just the fact that it took me about 30 minutes just to sandpaper all that extra fucking residue and shit off the rotor from the stator, and it was a pain in the ass, I'll tell you that. Which is also why I repainted it gray. If y'all haven't already seen that recent video of the contactor and all that with the Cyclone core, so yeah. So I would do it again, but there's just too many downsides to it. If I do get a printer though and make little sirens out of it, then I would totally do that. But yeah, that's all the questions. Pretty much answered it to my fullest that I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah, to all the people that asked questions, thanks a lot. If anyone adds questions after this video is made, I'll probably just go in the reply section and just answer it that way. But yeah, that's the video of me answering all of your questions that you put in the comments. So thanks to everyone who contributed to that. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. So yeah, peace out.